At exactly 5 o'clock and 127 seconds, we're going to go ahead and get this meeting of the Parks and Public Works Committee going. You gonna do this the whole time? Yeah, is this the plan? Yeah.
There you go.
City Clerk Dean, will you take attendance, noting that everyone is here? And our next thing is agenda approval.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Yeah.
Move to add an agenda item as a new number 2, shifting number 2 to 3. Resolution designating applicant agent for FEMA grant funding. May I have a second?
Second.
Approved. Yeah, we're gonna change that. And it's Agenda Bill 24-XXX. Probably not gonna be as exciting as it sounds, but okay, so we'll add that one to number 2. Any other changes? All right, then back to it. Now, all in favor of the agenda?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. We'll move on to public comments. Is anybody here to give public comment? See our city's Lorax is here. That's awesome. Anybody have anything to say? No? Okay. Then we will move on to approval of the minutes dated March 4th.
So moved.
Second.
They're approved. We'll move on to agenda bills. And the first one on here is Agenda Bill 24-XXX, resolution designating applicant agent for FEMA grant funding. Who's going to talk about this one?
Good afternoon, council committee members and mayor. Thank you for letting me sneak in today's agenda. This was one that I didn't realize I needed, so I didn't get
You have
it.
to say your name for the
Oh, I'm
record.
sorry. I'm Mona Davis. I'm working in community development. I'm your senior planner, also acting as your interim community development director. So I'm applying for a FEMA grant to get grant funding in order for us to apply for federal funding to do update our FEMA maps, go through and well, there's a lot to this, but it's grant funding to change our community rating system and do public outreach. And it would continue to enhance our floodplain management program, increase education, community outreach, stakeholder engagement. And I found out as I'm going through this grant application that I need to have authorization and a resolution passed by the council in order to designate the mayor having signing authority and designating me to apply for the grant. So if we are accepted to get this grant, which would be sometime later this fall, I would have to bring the grant back and then we would accept the grant and I'd have a new agenda bill and resolution. And I apologize, this agenda bill should probably be 25, not 24. I didn't catch that until you read it off, but we can get that fixed.
All right. Anything?
What would the next agenda bill number be?
I don't know yet. I won't know until it gets in the system.
Sorry, we can keep XXX for now. It's fun. Well, this sounds like a ridiculous step that we have to go through for this, but I'm glad that you got it in here so that we can jump through this hoop so we can do some actual work. Thank you very much. Any other comments?
Guess it's a bit strange. One, we probably ought to be specifically designating applicant agent for FEMA grant funding of what is this particular for? Community outreach?
Floodplain plan management and update the FEMA maps.
Variety of things.
education.
Is it also the Lomar, little map revision? Yeah.
Yeah, this is one very important aspect of this is, the lower letter of map review, which is to redraw the floodplain map, which is a significant modeling exercise of the floodplain, which will change our base flood elevation, which will actually take out quite a bit of the city. Huge portions of it, but a significant portion of the city out of the floodplain, which will, give us a lot of benefits, especially to our residents for, insurance.
I should also add, if I could please, that this would also allow us to create a dashboard and it would give us some historical data tracking that we would have going forward. And there's also the option that Washington State Emergency Management Division could do a grant match of the 25% of our share to where we would only need to pay 12.5% of this funding over the course of 3 years. So it's a pretty low amount that we would eventually get a lot out of.
I like you, Mona. I like the things that you say.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
This is all good stuff. Thank you. Thank you.
So okay.
Do you want to rain on our parade here?
Yeah, this is,
Okay, all right.
this is
Just go with the flow.
application for FEMA grant funding for flood mitigation assistance program. There's a title on the grant you guys are going after. I'm not signing an agenda bill just to say you're an agent. Okay, I want to know what you're an agent for specifically. The title is in specific, okay? So let's understand that. Two, I also want to understand that this is limited to application for grant. That it does come back because you're unclear of what your final funding picture is, whether we support the full 12% or 12.5%, or actually they may come back with a lesser amount than what you asked for grant. Okay, so
Hold
all
on.
that has to come back here.
But
It
is
will.
that what this is about? I thought this was just about designating, I thought that the title of this was what this was about. It's about designating Mona Davis to be able to apply for the FEMA grant funding.
I
And
that-
for the mayor to
believe that
sign.
is,
I
I'm
think,
not
I think
sure that is.
she's talking about what,
Where does it say that in here?
I just got the thing. I was
I
counting
did
on you
too.
to actually.
I apologize for that. So if you look at next steps, upon submittal of a successful grant application, grants that are awarded this fall would then be brought back to the city council for acceptance. And then we would know like what the grant amount that's being awarded is and if there would be a match, and it would give us a better idea of how much money we were actually looking at for 26 through 29 year budgets.
What I was gathering from Ms. Davis is that this is literally just a hoop that we have to jump through so that the mayor can appoint her to go get the money, and then she'll come and tell us what the money's for. And she's already given us the broad strokes overview of it, but before we pass any further agenda bills using that money, we'll get a very specific use of the money. That was the idea that I got. Did I get that right?
Yes, perfectly.
I think this
Okay.
step of it is literally that stupid.
Okay.
Nope.
I don't diminish anything we do. Okay.
I believe city attorney has her hand raised online.
Say again?
City attorney has her hand raised online.
Oh, okay, great. Let's
Okay.
hear from her.
Hi, good evening. I think you both already said it. The intent of this is just to designate a staff member to be able to apply to the grant. Part of the reason a lot of granting agencies do this is that there have been incidents, not here at Snoqualmie, but maybe at other cities where a well-intentioned staff member goes and applies for a grant, and then they come back to city council with that grant. And for whatever reason, that's something that council's not interested in doing. And so this is a way of getting that legislative stamp of approval that, yes, the city is interested in this grant. And so that if the city is awarded any funding, the intent is that you're basically saying you're going to approve it. Obviously, you still have to take that step later to approve it, and you do, have the ability to decline that grant later. But granting agencies to some extent do pay attention to awarding when they award a grant, and then for whatever reason, a council declines that grant later. So this is basically to make sure that everybody's on board. We want to do it, and if we do get any funds from it, our intent is to say yes.
Well, that makes it sound less stupid. All right.
This is normal. All I'm complaining about, guys, is the write-up is not very tight. Okay, and if we're gonna do these things, I don't know how many arguments I've had where the real estate agent said I could, but your ROA says you can't, and you signed it. What you sign is what's important. Okay, so I just.
But
Enough said.
it feels like to your point about the title, it feels like the title is still accurate.
I'm good with it. Go.
You're good with it? Yeah.
Done.
Are you good with it? Do we want do we want to go through, can we put this through on consent? Do we have to talk about this one again?
I would think consent would be adequate on this.
Okay.
If you don't consent, if I'm still grouchy, I'll pull it off. You might not be grouchy then.
You're not committing to anything at this
All right.
point other than letting me apply.
I think you're the perfect person for this. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, on consent, please. And let's move on to.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Come on.
Let's move on to number 3, formerly number 2. Amending utility rates for year 2025 to 2030. Agenda Bill 25-003.
Good evening. Okay, let me get my Zoom sharing. So I do not have a formal presentation or a slideshow or even a very small fonted Excel document to look through. I know everyone's disappointed, but what we do have here tonight is the ordinance for the utility rate study. It is in essence the document that we've been working towards for the last several months. Every choice, every decision that we've made along the way to try to calculate what the rates ought to be to pay for the city's operations and CIP. Capital improvements for the utilities are all captured within here, and how that's laid out has been discussed at the last several meetings. Some housekeeping details I just wanted to address before I kind of slide through the document real quick and see if there's any questions, is just to note that this AB number is the same as the one we had before in January. So it's the same AB, and it's the same ordinance number because neither one of those were passed. So we kept the same numbers. So just kind of head off any confusion there. We did make sure we updated all the dates and times and public hearings to try to match the new effort, so to speak. And one last detail is just to confirm that this ordinance is reflective of the past council meeting where I'm sorry, not we, but where council directed staff to create a ordinance reflecting I believe we would call it the aggressive rate reduction strategy. Apologize if I'm not quoting the title of that or that nicknamed
That's the way I remember
Max.
it.
maximum. Okay. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
we switched. That's right. Yes. Apologies. So that is what's reflected in here. It's the translation from looking at bills and average bills and things like that, but actually into how much people would pay per, either their volume rate or their fixed charge or however it goes in the utility. I went into a bunch of that detail in the process we've been going through in the agenda bill, trying to capture that evolution of the conversation. And just to scroll down and kind of give you a showing of what the document's going to look like, what you'll see is
Which page are you on?
I'm on page 9 of the agenda bill packet. I can zoom in if you want to.
Which page, I'm sorry, which page of the agreement or the ordinance is it?
Ordinance page 3, document total page 9,
thank
or
you.
however that translates exactly. So I just want to show you here, this is an example of how the ordinance is going to read. It's going to be somewhat cumbersome, and I kind of mentioned this before, but when you're looking at a table that gets translated in code, you're going to see a lot of like strike throughs and underlines, and it can be kind of a wonky look. It will look just much cleaner when we get it into code. And I can give you an example later, but essentially we're going to be strike throughing all the years and all the data information that we do not want to be in our code and replacing it with the underlined. So that's essentially how it's going to look. And then I'd like to show you one other bit that is kind of different than it was before. And
So
that's-
wait, I'm sorry.
Yes, let me
So,
go back.
so the point of this is to make this ordinance be formatted
To code.
similarly to past ordinances so that they're easily comparable?
I think another way, it's a format that we have to use in order to make to convert it into a codified document. So we use a codifying service. I can take you to it. This is our Snoqualmie Municipal Code. And what we'll do is we'll submit this ordinance to them. This service will then codify it. It's a formal process of making it law for us once it's passed. And this is the structure that they take in order to do that.
Okay.
So they will convert the document as I kind of wrote it up in that ordinance form, convert it into our Snoqualmie Municipal Code, and then it will be formally codified. And so that is the kind of the groundwork on the structure, but it will match how previous ordinances were done because it's the same process we go through the last time that we modify the code. The only kind of difference that you're going to see, and this was true for the January ordinance as well as this one, and that's the request from staff to actually create the tables that are 1.5 multipliers of the above rates. So oftentimes what you'll see in one of our rate structures is something like, here's the residential rate, and we are charging all customers outside of city limits 1.5 times that rate. So rather than having our staff do math in front of the customers, we have just included the math in our code so that way there's no conflict in those moments. So that's the only kind of oddity, I should say, that doesn't show the strike throughs, but it's the same data just translated to 1.5. That is that. And then generally speaking, that is the entirety of the document. There are sections between these. So if you're to go looking through the code, we're really looking at the tables and the things we're changing. I didn't pull the whole code. Otherwise, we'd have a 60-page document or something close to that in here. And I just pulled the reflective sections. It's organized on the left by the columnization or whatever they would say is the proper codifying term within the code, but essentially it follows the same structures there. Yeah, so that is generally how to read the document and the process that we got to get to this format. I just want to call out the steps that we're taking to get there. So for every ordinance, you have 2 hearings, 2 meetings at City Council. So at this current rate, we will have the next one next week. And because of it's the 5th Monday, I think is what we call it, we'll have the next one in April. I think it's mid-April. It will be after the next committee meeting and subsequent council meeting. So at this rate, the public hearing will be next week at the next week's council meeting, assuming you all approve this in its form. That will be the public hearing, which is required and noticed already. And then we will have the second read of the ordinance in April. And then it will take time to take effect, more than a week. So the first time anyone would ever see a change in their bill would be May. It's May's bill, which would actually be billed at the end of May.
May 1st.
They will start paying rates of this rate structure May 1st, but they won't see that bill till the end of the month.
Okay.
So yeah, there's a bit of a time delay, but those are all the steps in the sequence. And that's it. I didn't have any presentation on any of the details because we've already gone over the materials within, but that's the structure and the process. But I'm happy to take any questions if there is any.
Questions?
So not with the material here, but
Yeah.
maybe in addition to it of that table which said, here's the average rates and here's where we think we're going and the percentage increase that represents.
Yeah.
Could that be attached to this? And with some brief discussion of how that average rate gets related back to the rates as specified in code.
If it's okay, I think the way I'd like to approach that is by modifying the agenda bill in the background section. I can link previous presentations. And so I can go back and link the most recent presentation so that way if people were to click on this document on our city website, they could go to the hyperlink within the agenda bill.
Does that also have the explanation of how the rates here get manipulated into that average rate?
I could do some explaining if you'd like.
He's probably-
Yeah,
work.
I'll leave that word out, but yeah. Yes, I can explain how we,
What's the equation?
yeah, the process that we went through to kind of translate everything over. Yeah, I can write a bit of another paragraph maybe into the background section to try to capture that intent.
Okay, please.
Good. Ellen, great job. Thank you for working so hard on this. I think what we've got reflects the very best that we can do for for the customers, for the citizens, and I really appreciate the work that you guys have done on this. Thank you so much. I know that you guys had a plan, and then we asked you after you'd completed that plan to start over, and thank you for doing that. I think our people of the city are really going to be served well by that, as they always are by Parks and Public Works. So thanks a lot.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
What's the next thing?
So, non-consent.
You brought presents?
Presentation.
Oh, okay, right.
Ordinance has.
Yes, I will.
Okay, oh, Parks and Public Works Division update.
Good afternoon, Parks and Public Works Committee. I have a presentation to share with you. We wanted to give you an update on what we've been doing, what we did in 2024 and what we plan to do in 2025 to give you that information and show you how money is being spent for the residents. So I am going to do a quick intro and then I'm going to turn it over to the people who actually do the work. So in our operations part of Parks and Public Works, we have 29 total staff to service our approximately 14,000 residents. And those are split into 5 divisions, as you see up there. We have a lot of new staff. That is Richard Habel in water at the top left there. Believe it or not, there is a water line in that forest, and we were locating parts of that system because they'd been buried for some time. That brings me to the themes that you'll see in the presentation. One theme is training. This is a not complete list of the training that Parks and Public Works operations staff did in 2024 in the first quarter of 25. I actually ran out of room. There was more. So I look at this and I'm not sure how we got anything done in the field because just about every week last year, some division of Public Works was training. And then another theme that you'll find in the presentations is deferred maintenance. Having now got up to full staff, we're able to tackle projects that have been on the back burner for years, sometimes decades. And so I will let the individual superintendents talk about what those photos mean. And then I would ask, we have quite a few slides to get through. If it's okay with you, we'd like to take questions at the end so that everybody gets to present their information. And with that, I will turn it over to Matt. Thank you.
Howdy, I'm Matt Hedger, Water Division Superintendent. I guess the best way to categorize the overview is we do our best to treat and provide clean and safe water to everyone. But on top of that, we've got all the maintenance of the infrastructure, the hydrants, meters, and all the irrigation system. 2024, I guess the biggest highlights would be getting the Williams addition in downtown, the main replaced there. Picture on the right is one of the many main breaks we had there. Another one would be the Justin Wren, our irrigation guy, really took his time last year to try to do some water efficiency on the irrigation system and easily saved about 30% from the year before, which equates to about 7.6 million gallons. And he's going to continue each season to try to dial that in even better. So that was a lot.
If you could just double that every year, that'd be great.
Well, we'll try. Looks like here 25. The picture on the right is the PRV out of Canyon Springs, which pretty much maintains our downtown pressure. We upgraded that to it being automated now, so we don't have to crawl down in the vault every time we want to change the flow coming out of Canyon Springs. And the picture on the left is one of the irrigation junction boxes there that is going to be, they're all going to be upgraded to a new system. We'll eventually get rid of Maxicom and go to the IQ4 system, which is more of a web-based, can run everything from your phone and make things more efficient. This is up at the Winery Booster Pump Station. The picture that Phil showed with everybody walking through the woods, that's the line that goes up to the booster pump station. And that's, the pump is, that one got replaced last year, end of last year, probably 20 plus years old. And we had to alter the roof there to be able to pull the pump. There's 2 pumps up there on each side, and that's how they're pulled and when they're needed to be maintained or replaced. This was a real fun main break that we had. This was out on Reinig Road, right when you start heading out towards Canyon Springs. It's the main transmission line from Canyon Springs coming into town. Just a little bit more background on that. It's a 12-inch pipe that, not really sure why it busted, but it was quite a process of fixing that. When it blew up, it's one of those, we rely on the public a lot of times when it comes to problems that we have in the water system, because sometimes we don't see it. This one actually set off a downtown pressure alarm, but all it told me was there's downtown pressure alarm, which I realized I knew there was a main break somewhere, but not knowing where. Eventually someone called. There was water going across Reinig Road. We lost about 1.4 million gallons, and it took us probably over 12 hours to fix that. But once we isolated it, we could get pressure back to downtown and back out to the North Fork area and fix that. And that's a couple of the pictures from it. And like we talked about, training is a big thing this year with our new people and having enough people to get a lot of the maintenance done. The picture on the left is our new valve turner. We've got about 2,200 valves in the city that need to be operated every year to make sure they operate correctly. And that is going to be a much safer, efficient way to do that. And the one on the right is our new leak detecting machine. We lost approximately 45 million gallons last year from leaks. And our main focus the next couple of years is to find as many of those and fix them as we can. And I guess that's it. Right.
Afternoon, Jason Battles, Urban Forestry and Stormwater Superintendent. So core functions of our division is to maintain our NPDES permit and also maintain our urban forestry program. Next slide. So we really like planting trees, and we got a grant from the state of Washington to plant 300 street trees in downtown Snoqualmie. Last year, we completed 144 of those. And so we're really excited about that, and I'll talk more about this year. As far as our Green Snoqualmie partnership, that continues to be an awesome program that we love as a staff and that we feel like our residents love as well. We were able to get 644 volunteer hours last year, almost 1,200 trees and shrubs in. I'll expand on that in the next slides. Stormwater, we are highly focused on last year and this year on getting the trees that are in our ponds cut down and removed so we can meet our standards. Last year, we were able to do 18 of those ponds, and we're going to continue that work. And then I talked about Project Side Shave last year as well, and so that was a huge success. Emergency response, you all know the bomb cyclone that occurred. We responded to that safely, successfully. We lost 84 street trees, at least 16 park trees. It was over 100 trees that we lost. That turned into about 3 months worth of work of getting stumps out, capping irrigation, getting soil in, seeding that. So, but we just finished that up last month and we're happy about that. And then training professional development, Kyle Markwart, he attained a tree risk assessment qualification and he was also promoted to lead in the division. Photos, again, there's Project Side Shave on the top. Water no longer going across the road, it's going into the bioswale as designed. On the bottom left was Green Snoqualmie Day. We got over 100 trees and shrubs planted and over 35 residents came out to help us do that. And then the bottom right, that is the morning after the bomb cyclone, after everything was safe. We got out there and started clearing right of ways. All right, so we're going to continue to plant trees. We've got 140 more to go in downtown and 19 in the parks. Actually, in just the last 2 weeks, we planted 113 trees on Maple, Olmsted, and Silva. Green Snoqualmie Partnership, our staff is inspired, residents are inspired. So we're going to try to up our marketing and get up to over 1,000 hours of volunteer hours, and then over 1,500 trees and shrubs planted. Again, focusing on our storm ponds, getting them to meet the standards. We've got 11 of the 22 left that we want to get from our level 3 to our level 1 stage. And then we're going to continue to inspect our catch basins, our ponds, our swales. We've got business inspections. And this year we are bringing ArcGIS and Tyler into that so that we can be more efficient with that. Emergency response, we're continue to focus on our ice windstorm response, that kind of training. And then we're really focusing on stormwater IDDEs, so illicit discharge detection and elimination. I'll talk about that in the next slide. And then training, again, focusing on, I'm going to go for my board certified master arborist. Kyle's going to try for his urban forest professional, which is a 3-year track. And then I just attained stormwater operations and maintenance certificate. And I'm going to work to get my staff to be able to get that as well. Okay, so again, the IDDE response. So the top here, I was out assessing some trails and I came upon this pond and noticed that there was an oil sheen to it. And so I called the team and we responded. We got our booms. And then I also called Brendan, our GIS guy, to come out with his drone because I wanted to get a sense of how much there was, because it's kind of hard to see when you're on the ground. You can see that there was oil throughout the entire pond. We got the boom out there and that boom absorbs oil. Spoke with the Department of Ecology after we had taken all the measures. They were extremely happy with our response. And they were also able to kind of give us a guesstimate of how much oil was in the pond. And they said it was around 2 gallons. We are not sure how that got in there. So we're still being vigilant in the area in case it got in through a catch basin or what have you. But I also wanted to point out another reason why we're taking care of the trees along the shoreline is that this tree, it's hard to see because that pond's got trees, but it's, they're not leafed out yet. But it's very difficult for us to be able to move a boom across a pond when there's trees. So another reason why, so we can respond effectively, that we want to get those trees out of there. The bottom slide, water department alerted us to some oil on the road. Luckily, it was not raining. We were able to get out there. We got absorbent down. We called a street sweeper. They came out. We blocked off all of our catch basins. I'm happy to report that no oil got into our MS4. And so that was a really successful response as well. So that's urban forestry. Thank you. And stormwater.
The Streets and Parks Superintendent Tim Barrett isn't able to be here tonight, so I'm going to give this part of the presentation. So our Parks Department services our 40+ parks, plus our paved trail system. Urban Forestry maintains our soft surface trail system. And I would also point out that a core function of the Parks Department is to support events in the community that bring people here. It's a combined division with streets, and the streets division takes care of those road surfaces. That's everything from mending potholes to servicing flashing school zone lights to storm response in snowstorms and ice storms. In 2024, the Parks Division completed many projects, a few of which are highlighted here. I'll just go to the pictures. We have split rail fence in parks everywhere that's 20 years old and is failing. So we began a project to replace miles of that material in 2024, which is ongoing in 2025. In the middle, you're seeing a rebuilt set of steps going down from Curtis Drive to the K-Bog Trail and Community Park. And on the right, you're seeing a brand new and our favorite to date restroom floor because it's extremely robust. And so we've been contracting to install those in our restrooms. The other thing that I'll mention is that the team put in a big effort this year in 2024 for the Christmas lights. And we heard a lot of positive feedback from residents on that. Streets division in 2024. Going to the pictures, we've got snow plowing. We didn't have snow in late 2024. We had some early in 2024 and early this year. So the streets division has taken the lead in those events. Previously, it was the water division, and we're kind of switching those operations around. In the middle, we've got the installation of wayfinding signs. There are new wayfinding signs, 96 of them going throughout Snoqualmie. We're almost done with that project, which began in 24. And then on the right, we have the refurbishment of an alley that badly needed some attention and had been neglected for a while. For 2025, Parks plans to continue maintaining the ball fields so that the children of the city can play on the best standard fields that possible that we can do. We're going to continue on the deferred maintenance projects in mini parks, in major parks. We're also going to repair the walking trail around the Boggart Community Park. And then we're going to continue to push the envelope and make sure we get the best lights display we can for next Christmas. 2025 Streets Division. We are going to focus on the things that make residents' lives better, not driving over potholes, having lighted streets. And we're also going to re-implement our street sweeping program that hasn't happened in-house for some years. So we're going to have some staff trained on our own street sweeper, and we will be doing those operations monthly. And that is it for Parks and Streets. Thank you.
Good evening, Don Harris, Fleet Facility Superintendent. We maintain in the Fleet Division $13.8 million in assets with 1 3/4 FTEs. Next slide. 5 municipal buildings, 60,000 square feet, maintained by 1 1/4 FTEs. Next slide. We manage over 125 vehicles. We also manage this equipment during crucial times, snow events, windstorms, power outages. To date, we've ordered, budgeted 15 of the 33 pieces of replacement equipment, budgeted for 24 and 25. We also placed into service a new chip truck for the urban forestry. It was purchased prior in 2023, but we just got it into service in 24. We put in, as Phil mentioned, Elgin street sweeper replacement is here and ready for the function of doing that weekly or monthly. And then we also have a fire truck arriving soon, and a police vehicle that replaced the prisoner van was also placed into service. Next slide. Facilities accomplishments. Like I said, we maintain over 60,000 square feet of building space. We've updated some bracketry over at the fire station for EOC antenna placement and some communication upgrades for the EOC and police and fire. Actually, it's the whole city communication system. We continue to upgrade office space, new employee space for additional places for them to set and do their work. Next slide. 25, we anticipate ordering, another, the rest of the purchasing for, the 25-26 approved budget. We got 30 standby generators that need serviced. We got 9, fuel, as you see at the bottom picture there, we call it fuel polishing, but it cleans the tanks of the generators due to, algae growing in the tanks over time. We have to do a preventative maintenance. We're going to start doing it every, like in a rotation of every couple of years. We don't want it to fall behind. It grows algae, and then in the right picture, you can see the different colorations in that. But since 17, this is the first year that we budgeted in 25 that we've started this program. Before, these generators were placed into service in 17, and we haven't got that into our PM program until this year, budget wise. So that's a big benefit to, especially in the middle of the power outages. We cross our fingers that things aren't going to get plugged up and whatever else. So we also support snow events with the 2 large CDL trucks on the right side, along with the 5 smaller trucks and backhoes and all that other equipment. Kevin does a great job keeping that. Next slide. In 25 in facilities, we're looking to upgrade the HVAC system controls over at the fire station for the new boiler system. It's obsolete and it's creating some problems. So we also are upgrading some heaters over at the public workshop. Heaters that's been in there since 2000. Kevin's running out of heat. He's only has 1 heater in there. So, and we also have plans to, for site expansion over at the wastewater treatment facility where the Girard site, we call it the Girard site, for the future growth and expansion, and maybe get some covered areas over there in the near future. Any questions? Sorry. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Tom Holmes, your wastewater superintendent. The mission of wastewater is really to recover resources, recycle. It's what we do. Our division 2024 division accomplishments. So we had 100% compliance with the NPDES permit in terms of pollutant discharges to the river. We responded to 1,350 utility locates. Those are throughout the year. We cleaned only 15,000 feet of sewer main. That's not actually very good out of 132,000 feet total in 2024. So that's not really a great accomplishment, but I put it up there because we have a goal to improve that in 2025. We produced approximately 2,000 wet tons of biosolids. We cleaned 55 wet wells. We produced 54.6 million gallons of reclaimed water. And then we recovered 400 million gallons of water that would have otherwise been contaminated and discharged that to the river. So for 2025, we'll continue to maximize our drinking water conservation by producing at least 60 million gallons of reclaimed water for irrigation. That's the goal. We will continue to produce biosolids. Your biosolids from the city of Snoqualmie go, that is a picture of exactly where your biosolids go. That's Natural Selection Farms. It's a beneficial use facility in Eastern Washington. They grow dryland wheat there. And so that's an actual picture of the wheat that's grown with the biosolids that come from the city of Snoqualmie. Next slide. We're going to continue to trap beavers. No, that's not a beaver. That was a joke. Okay. That is actually a root ball from a sewer system. I put this in here because, roots do grow into the sewer, and this just gives you an idea of the size of the roots when they get into the sewer. And so we have a plan in 2025. We're going to treat with chemicals, something that we've not done before. There's rooting chemicals that you can put in the sewer that are safe for the sewer, don't impact the treatment, but allow us to remove, to kill the roots. So they're easier to remove. They don't cause blockages. Next slide. We got another goal for 2025 is to clean 44,000 feet of pipe. See, we only cleaned 15 in 2020. 2024, our goal is to clean 44,000. Why 44,000? That's 1/3 of the entire system in a calendar year. So if we can get through that, then that would be great. And this is a picture right from our sewer system right here in Snoqualmie. You can see the grease forming on the top of the pipe. So those are the things that we're trying to clean out. So.
Does it all get greasy like that or just in specific places?
Just in certain places. Yeah. So
Is that
that's
related-
it.
Is that related to
Questions?
commercial?
At this
Commercial
point,
businesses?
any questions you have, we can have individual superintendents come up and answer them, and I can go to whatever slide you'd like.
Is,
Go ahead.
is this buildup like due to commercial enterprises in a particular
Tom,
area?
come on.
Hmm?
Yeah, so, I mean, the grease comes from all of us, right? So when you wash your dishes, when you clean stuff in the sink and it goes down the drain, but yeah, commercial establishments also. We do have an ordinance, a pre-treatment ordinance that requires our commercial businesses that would contribute a large amount of grease to have devices installed, grease interceptor. So it'd be a giant vault in the ground, a couple 1,000-gallon tank, depending upon their flows that would be installed, that allows for the grease to accumulate inside of that and then be removed with a truck. So
What are the top 2 restaurants that accumulate grease in our city?
Trying to-
Or what intersections are these at?
I don't know. I
Because that's the restaurant I want to go to. Yeah, I was gonna.
I love greasy food, so
Yeah,
hey.
I'm not complaining about this.
You
at
know.
all. But one of the questions that I was gonna ask you was how often sewer should be cleaned. It sounds like you're saying about every 3
So
years.
the American Society of Civil Engineers has published a report that said that you should clean every 3 to 5 years. So if we don't clean every 3 to 5 years, if there's an insurance claim because sewer backs up into a person's house, what ends up happening is their insurance, the first thing they ask is, well, when was the last time the pipe was cleaned? So we really need to have a goal to clean every 5 years at a bare minimum, but three to 5.
And this year
is-
we did.
2024, we only cleaned 15,000, but we did have some budget. We were trying to really be tight on the budget for 2024. We cleaned a lot more pipe in 2023. So we met our third in 2023, but we did not meet it in 2024. So
Which will still put us on track for 5 years.
yeah, it'll still put us on track for 5 years.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
I had a question for Jason. The state grant for 300 trees.
Yes.
I'm on one of the trees that was the beneficiary, or
Yes,
on one of the
multiple.
streets that was beneficiary. So were those trees paid for entirely by the state?
Yes,
Wow, that's a good deal.
very good.
Okay, yeah. All right. Yeah, that was my question on that one. And anything else? All right, get us more deals like that. Yeah. All right. Oh, okay. All right. Way to go, Lorax. All right. Thank you.
Can I make a
Great presentations. Appreciate it. Yes.
Just, I want to reiterate what Chairperson Benson is saying, is that you guys are doing an awesome job in all the departments, and so happy to hear about reaching staffing goals and people getting the training that they want to get and moving forward in their career. So we want you to stay with the city. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Well said. I think there's one other thing we've got. Director report. Did you? You gave us a director report last time. It was a darn good one, by the way.
I'll beat it this time, but I'll give it my best shot. I'll echo what you said. This group is really good. We're really happy with, the performance of our superintendents there. They really care about what they do and they do a good job. And it's, a pleasure to work with them. So, and I appreciate them coming in today to kind of talk about what they do. We think it's important that you guys get to know them a little bit and see what it is that they do and see how much that they really care and what they put into the job. And it's important to us. And I think it's good to recognize that. So real quickly, staffing. So assuming the utility rate adjustment ever happens, we actually are ready to hire.
What utility?
Yeah. So we have, we'll need a new admin. We have a position available for a new admin when the time comes to hire that person. We have one admin right now for the entire department, and she is buried. She is running at stuff, and it's difficult to plan.
Is that Joan?
Joan. All right. Now we try to do everything by work plan. It's a better way to organize. And so we try to give ourselves goals and objectives and work off of a plan. And it's difficult for Joan to do a work plan because she's always chasing down the next fire, right? So it's difficult to plan when the whole place is on fire. So having a new admin will really help us divide up some of the work. And then we're also doing other things there as far as trying to automate our field reservation systems and things like that, which will take some of the load off of her, but also make us more efficient. And so we're looking forward to that new admin. And then we have a new wastewater operator, which will help us as far as flexibly staffing the wastewater plant. The wastewater plant runs 24/7, 365 days a year. That plant has to operate. And we don't staff it 24 hours a day. It's highly automated and it's capable of operating, by itself, but it's controlled and alarmed to the hilt, and it has to be that way. And it's difficult to keep up with all of the things that need to be done. And now that we've completed our recent upgrades, we have, planning for growth. We need to kind of staff it adequately so that it stays in proper operation. So we're looking forward to getting that new operator. We'll take our time and get the right person, but we'll definitely need that operator. CIP. Real quickly, I'm going to give you just a quick rundown on where we're at. The CIP, the Capital Improvements Program. ASR, the Aquifer Storage and Recovery Project, which I keep talking about. We are transferring into a new phase of that project. We are kind of going from the feasibility study phase, where we're trying to determine through modeling whether or not it's feasible, into the pilot study phase. And we will be doing a pilot study on that starting in May.
And this is the project where we pump the aquifer full of more
Correct.
water.
We got a right to take more water out of the spring in the wet seasons and put it down our south well field and basically raise the water level in our aquifer. The initial modeling for that, and we did a very extensive model, indicates that it's going to be successful. We're showing, just simulated inputs on the model indicate that it's a fairly confined aquifer and it will hold like a reservoir and it will hold storage. And by doing so, it will counteract all of these exempt wells that they're anticipating, 34 acre feet of exempt wells, of withdrawals from exempt wells that are coming in the next 20 years. This will offset that. So ecology is excited, we're excited, and we think it's going to be successful. Pilot testing will give us a better indication of how much storage we really have there.
So if this water didn't get pumped into our aquifer and stored there, it would eventually go to the ocean.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay.
In
So
the wet
this is-
season, it flows right out the river.
So this is just water that's going to be wasted.
I guess, I don't know if I would say wasted, but it would be water that is
Sorry, I get it for you.
unavailable for consumption.
What a waste.
Yeah. Right. Right. So, yeah, and it's a good thing in that it will help maintain in-stream flows in the river. Right? Because what stays in the aquifer, and aquifers are funny, they will, if
But,
they,
so you mean by filling the aquifer, water doesn't seep out of the river bed?
pretty much that's correct. That's right. Yeah. So if you can maintain higher water levels in your aquifer, waters from the upper aquifers that would drain down into it don't drain down into it because it's full, right? So it stays available to the river, which keeps, reduces the amount of water which drains out of the river from the
And
land.
that's important. Why?
Well, it's important for
So,
several reasons. One, it helps.
Chair?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Are we out of time?
We're out of time. It's all your fault. Has nothing to do with me. Thank you very much.
Yes,
I
absolutely.
think we're gonna have to cut it short. I apologize.
Yeah, no worries.
Okay, I could talk to you about this all day. This is such neat stuff. But I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
We are adjourned. Thank you.